connection.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Lizette Ridgeway, and for the next couple of minutes that we have together, I kind of wanted to go over my takeaways for this semester, and so this is my presentation of learning. So as I started thinking through kind of to start off with my initial question that I had as I started this course is what makes a good leader. And so as we identified that kind of at the beginning of the semester, you know, I was able to identify somebody that's a motivator, somebody that's resourceful, innovative, a relationship builder. And I still firmly believe that those are the things that that you need, or characteristics that you need to have to be a good leader. I think that's also, I've added a couple more characteristics that I think are critical that just had never been on my radar. And I think it was through the presentations that we had, from hearing directly from those that had recently served in a superintendent position, and then those that were currently serving as superintendents. And so I think that Dr. Jenny Preston and Dr. Steve Flores had huge impacts. And I think when I think about Dr. Steve Flores, he said something, and it wasn't something that I hadn't heard before. It just, for me, it really impacted me. It touched my heart as far as like, that's what I want to be known as. And so that is, I know, it's like trying to navigate a mouse. Okay, I'm just gonna walk over here and get it back on. Yeah, that'd be great. So I want to be known as,
I got it back.
thank you, as a leader of leaders. And so I really had to start thinking what would make a good leader of leaders. And so that's where I started to really pull from the articles. And I told Dr. Aidman yesterday that if it hadn't been for the articles to kind of keep me moving through all of this summer, I think I would have been lost, because I think that my journey of becoming a leader of leaders started this summer. So if you would click the next. So these are kind of my big takeaways, my significant, and they're all kind of tied to either a guest speaker that we had or a particular article. The first one is organizational change. What all that really means and entails. And I think that as superintendent, you know that at some point you are going to lead organizational change. And so it is your opportunity to ensure that you've planned for that and that you can implement that so that it is successful. And so with organizational change, I really, what really spoke to me was the TED Talk that Yves Moreau, which was the Managing Complexity with the 6 Simple Rules. There was 2 particular rules that stood out for me, and that was know what other people do. And I think that that's when you're thinking about organizational change, it's super important to really have a complete understanding as far as what it is that people do. And the next piece was to have some sort of feedback loop so that you are able to see how the decisions that you make are kind of impacting others. So it's that reciprocity that's kind of involved in that. Will you go back, Michelle, to the... and then the Edgar Schein, Organizational Change and Leadership, the chapters that we read from that book really talked about culture. And so it was about changing organizational culture. And so I feel like those 2 pieces are exactly what I was experiencing at work. We have new leadership coming into the agency. I could recognize what are some of the really big pieces as far as what it is that they're wanting to change. And I think the hard part for me was I felt like I was there when I first came at the agency, and you're wanting to impact a change in culture. And so I went and I talked to my deputy commissioner, and we had this really long conversation about organizational change and about changing culture. And what I shared with Dr. Aidman is I don't think it is my time, and I don't think it is the leaders that are currently in place right now that are open to conversations like that. But having the opportunity for me to think through that is going to get me better prepared so when it is my time and my season to lead that. we always talked about the big picture. And I think in every role that we take, as we continue to move in our career, you have an even bigger picture than you had before. And so it's taught me that there is a level of transition that you need to make. I will no longer have the level of control that I had when I was in the classroom. And so it's continuing to move up. And so what does that really mean? And it really means building a strong team. And so the importance of that. So the paper that we wrote on building a strong team was really good for me to think through, because I think it kind of gives me a leg up when I have the opportunity to choose who's going to help me carry out a vision, or who's going to help me develop a vision and a mission. It made me think through what are the things that I would really want as far as in building a team. This summer, I also took a class on adult learning with Dr. Nelson Beret, and the last activity that we had to do for her class was to create a autoethnography. And so it was a great activity because it was very open. The parameters were very open, and we had to identify what are the things that resonate with us, who are we, and we could present that any way that we wanted to. And one of the theme for my own autoethnography is that as much as I want to quit sometimes, I'm not a quitter. And I think that being a good leader of leaders is that you're going to be resilient, because you probably are going to fail, but it's how you handle that. And it's about an opportunity to try again. And every day is an opportunity to try again is what really makes a good leader of leaders. So my reflection for me that I think I continue to put into practice is, what have I been doing? Why have I been doing that? And then what can I begin to do differently as I continue to read and I change my practices based on the new knowledge that I have, the new skills that I've acquired. So that's where I am.
There we go.
All right.